Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Soulful Sessions with Rory, the podcast where we dive deep into the matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. I'm your host, Rory, and I'm thrilled to embark on this soulful journey with each and every one of you. Well, I bet you thought I was going to finish this the way that I normally do, but today is a special episode. It is my 20th episode, and it is my birthday. So I am celebrating today just by giving you all just what's from my heart and from my mind. I don't even have a title of this episode, but just that it's my birthday. So, and let's not forget the 20th episode. So on today's Soulful Session, I do have to still remind you that though what we say here is meaningful and has insight, but if something's bothering you, I really want you to go get some professional help. I love what I say, but if you have a problem that you see or something triggers you, go talk to somebody. I hope you like my shirt today. It says, "Have you asked Rory?" Because that's what I want to start. I want you all to start asking me questions, and we can address them, at the end of our episodes that I do, or if I start doing it live, because that's probably next on Soulful Sessions with Rory. So today I want to talk about something that I kind of covered in my last episode, which was depression, but not from the point of, hey, I'm depressed and things like that. But I want to talk about the stigma that's behind of feeling a certain kind of way, especially as a man. As men, we're taught that we have to be strong. Well, there's this little, I guess you could call it analogy or anecdote that I use when talking to people about strength. 300 pounds can be heavy. 200 pounds can be heavy. 10 pounds, probably not so much, right? So it takes strength to lift heavy. And if you're lifting heavy, it's not an easy task. So if you're lifting the 10 pounds, it's really easy. So when I ask people, hey, can you cry? Well, no. When I ask people, can you hold your tears in front of people? Of course, everybody says, yes, absolutely, I can hold my tears. It's not a problem at all. But when you ask them, okay, so if it's easy, keyword, easy for you to hold your tears in front of people, how difficult is it to let your tears flow and show emotion? It's very difficult. Well, I'm one of those people. I try to hold my tears at all costs. And, well, let me not say I try. I just do. I don't even try it because it's easy. I'm going to hold my tears. But what I've been trying to do for the last couple of years now is be more transparent, more emotionally transparent. Nobody knows when you're going through something if you don't tell anybody. And I always, and I'm going to say always, I always go through something. And there's usually one person that knows, and that's my therapist. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you have to share with friends and family. Get you some professional help. Man, look, I wish everybody understood that you are not alone. And so if you understand you're not alone, you can make those phone calls. And I'm going to tell you, if you got a friend or family member that's going through something, try not to criticize or judge them. Because what if you haven't heard from them for a while? What if you talk to them and they speak real short or they brush you off? You have no idea what they are going through. This person loves you, but they're having an internal battle. They're fighting dark places, and you are more concerned about what's going on with you and why they haven't talked to you or why they haven't spoke to you, or when you call, they're short on words. Too many times I've heard of bad instances where those things didn't end well. What I would say is we all hurt. We all go through things. So take that into consideration before you judge your friend, before you judge your family. The mask that people wear is just that, it's a mask. And a lot of people will show you joy and happiness, but on the inside, they are literally fighting a battle. So just keep that in mind. I want to tell you what I've learned along this journey of doing these podcasts. So one of the things that I learned is that I don't like criticism. Now, that's just me being transparent. And let me tell you why. So not that I don't like criticism, period. I don't like criticism that I didn't ask for. Because a lot of times when people critique what I'm doing, I didn't ask you for your opinion. And I also understand that your opinion is one of many. So what you think is good for you may not be good for me, because my journey is my journey and your journey is your journey. But I know a lot of people, they do it from the heart. They don't mean any harm by it, but they can't help themselves. They want to say, hey, you know what? You would be better if you did this. No, I would be better for you if I did that. However, what I'm doing is for me. Or somebody says, well, you know what, Rory, you need to get rid of the bloopers. Your words is this and that, and you need to edit it better. Or, why do you have that music? Why do you have, and I simply say, thank you for your insight, and then keep it moving. Because again, this is my journey. Now, some people say, well, Rory, well, if you want your podcast to grow, you're going to have to do this. First of all, you are not my source. God is my source. So if this podcast is meant to grow, if it's meant to move forward, it will. Now what my desire is for this podcast is every day I just want to touch one person. I want one person to feel inspiration, one person to feel hope, one person to feel joy. I don't care if I get 1 million people that feel it. Now that would be great. Now I will say this, I do have a goal where I wanted to reach 1,000 people, but I didn't really work hard for that. It was more of a hopeful thing, but I'm still hopeful because, I want to get to that place where there are people who get something from this. I talk to a lot of people who reach out to me and they say, hey, Rory, I got a relative, whether it be, a girlfriend, whether it be a sister, whether it be a brother, a husband, a boyfriend. And they say, they don't feel comfortable talking about their mental health. And I'll be the first one to tell you, neither did I. When I first started talking about my mental health, it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult because I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed that I wasn't strong enough to get through what I'm going through. So now, at officially 52 years old, I have no shame. I don't care if people look at me as being quote unquote weak, or people look at me as being vulnerable. See, because I think the biggest illusion that we create is that emotion equals vulnerability. No, emotion equals transparency. If you look up the definition of the word vulnerable, it means a weakened state. Last time I checked, I'm still as strong as can be, mentally, physically, spiritually. So even if I am feeling my emotions, that does not mean that I am in a weakened state. So I tell you, that person that's afraid to get help because you don't want to be judged, only God can judge you. And if you don't believe in God, then only you can judge you. Nobody has to approve of you or validate you. You validate yourself. And that's what I want you to think about. And as a therapist, I know when people come to me, I always say this: I've heard it all. So don't be afraid to tell a therapist what you're going through, because a lot of them have heard it all. I've heard things that make me cry. I've heard things that make me angry. I heard things that make me sad, but once I'm done talking to my clients and the day is done, I leave work at work. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be transparent. You might feel like you're exposing a weakness, but I promise you, you're not. The only thing you are doing is exposing your truth. And your truth does not mean you're a bad person. Your truth doesn't mean that you're horrible. We all make choices that don't feel good. Notice I didn't say mistakes, because a mistake is something you didn't mean to do. Sometimes we do things on purpose and we meant to do it, but it just didn't feel good after we did it. The first person to forgive you should be you. You have to forgive yourself for anything that you've done, for any indiscretion. So for anyone that I've hurt or harmed in my life, I have to forgive me first. Now, whether or not they forgive me, that's up to them. But I ask that they do, because I'm not perfect. I don't try to be perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. What I claim to be is human. And I want us all to understand that being human is not a curse. Being human is a thing. And it's okay that people make choices that don't feel good. Now, that don't mean you don't have to create boundaries. Because if someone does something that you don't enjoy, you don't have to keep doing it. So don't do that. So I'm really encouraging everybody to get help, and not just mental help. Make sure that you're getting physical help as well. Go get those checkups. Go see a doctor. Go get a annual, quarterly, a monthly checkup. Men, I'm talking to you guys because we suck when it comes to checking our health. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, this finger hanging off, but I'll fix it some other time. No worries. That's not good. Try to at least every 3 months go see a doctor just for a checkup. If your knee is hurting, go get help. If your back is hurting, go get it looked at. If you're finding yourself breathing a little differently, go see somebody. If your eye twitching like this all the time, stop lying to people. No, I'm just joking. Go get help. So this is definitely things that you need to do. Oh, so something else I've learned since doing this podcast, I didn't realize there are people that I'm helping and I had no idea. So, I've had people come up to me and say, Rory, I'm watching your podcast and you don't know, sometimes you're talking to me. I appreciate that, because what I have to say was just put on my heart to say. I'm not doing this thinking I know everything. I'm doing this because this is what I feel. And this message may not be for you. It could be for a friend. It could be for a relative. But I just hope that I can get this message out and that it affects somebody's life in some shape, form, or fashion. I've also learned that I need better cameras. Yeah. So I either use my laptop or my phone, and I will tell you the laptop, when I record, it sometimes doesn't record, and I've done 30 minutes worth of stuff, and that's very disheartening. And then the phone, the quality isn't always great with the volume or even with the picture at times. So like this one, I'm doing purposely on the phone because I'm trying something new. I'm also going to get streaming software because I do want to get to a place where I'm doing it live, and I got to figure out how I'm going to set up my humble abode to do the podcast. And I want to start having guests and having real conversations with people from the perspective of maturity, because I'm 52 now. I've gone over the mountaintop. So another thing that I've learned is that you never really know how many people you affect just on a daily basis, and not just through the podcast, but from connections. When you get someone to say, hey, I reached out to you because somebody told me you helped somebody they know. That amazes me. It amazes me still, because I do want to help. I do want to help people. I do want to enlighten people. Something I do want to speak on too is dating. Now, I'm not speaking on this just, from a personal perspective or anything. I'm speaking on this because the older we get, a lot of times we say the harder it is. And I'm going to tell you, I've heard all these buzzwords, all the high value men, the high value women, the low value men, the low value women. And I'm going to tell you, I don't believe in any of that crap. I just don't. Because I believe that value is what you place value in. There are some people who like diamonds. There are some people who like jade. So your version of value is not what society tells you, but what you create. Let me say it again. Your version of value is not what society tells you, but what you create. A high value woman to Rory is a woman of character. That's it. Character. Now, what does that character possess? You'll have to get to know me to find out. And a high value man is a man of character. So it's not about how good a woman looks. It's not about how much money a man makes. It's not about whether or not that woman has the hourglass shape and no kids, or whether or not that man has a muscular physique and no children, whether he's in the six figures or she's in the, none of that is irrelevant. None of that is relevant, because at the end of the day, somebody can have everything that you ask for financially and looks, but still make you miserable. Still make you miserable. I remember I used to pray for a specific type of woman. And let me tell you, I got it. But I had to change that prayer to the type of woman that I need. And in every season, you might need a different type of person. So you got to look at you, and you got to accept you first before you can even accept somebody else. So that means you have to first love yourself unconditionally and understand what your value and worth is. You know, when somebody says, you know, what do you bring to the table? And you know, that's part of this whole rhetoric. This stuff. First of all, if you don't understand who you are, then you don't know what you bring to the table. If a man is telling you his job, his money, his finances, anybody can bring that. And anybody can bring it at a different level. But what about character? What about compassion? What about commitment? What about compromise? What about romance? What about love? What about consideration? Or would you just rather have $100,000 plus making dude who don't even know you exist with wondering eyes? So all I'm saying is that understand that your value is something that you create. The value of a person is something that you decide. It would be nice if your person could have every physical aspect that you desire. But if they have all of that and they don't have any character, you won't be happy long. And I'm gonna tell you, the number one thing that I think is important is communication. Because if you can't communicate with your partner, you're wasting time. You know, how many people settle for relationships where their partner doesn't even talk to them? Or if you do talk, no one is really saying what's on their mind. So you got to figure out exactly what it is you like. Okay, since I digress, let me come back. What I've learned since doing this podcast, I've also learned that when I speak about different things, different topics, one or two things is happening. Either A, it's because I've been talking about the same subject all week with clients, or B, it's something I'm currently going through and I'm actually using it as a way to figure out what's going on with myself. And I think it's very interesting because I don't even realize I do it until I go back and I either listen to the podcast or someone's giving me feedback and they're saying, hey, you know, I really appreciate when you talked about this. And I'm like, oh my God, wait, I'm going through that. So that's something else I learned. The other thing is that everybody's not rooting for you. So I have 1,500 plus friends on Facebook and on Instagram and Snapchat. And I have 119 subscribers or followers on the podcast. I'm not angry. I'm just recognizing that everybody is not in your what's the word? Everyone doesn't care about your journey. And they don't have to. So that's probably why I'm not upset, because they don't have to. Now, do I get curious or baffled sometimes? I do. But it is surprising because I actually have had people tell me, oh man, I loved your podcast, but they're not subscribers. Because I get a little notification that shows me who subscribed. I don't say anything. It's not important. But if you do find it in your heart to subscribe, let's get me to 1,000, and let it be where you become a vessel through me to help someone. Because that's all this is about. It's about giving people hope. When people ask me, what's your podcast about? I just say hope, inspiration, because that's what I want it to be. I want it to be a little bit of knowledge too. And per my daughter, I'm going to do one. Okay, maybe. I'm going to do one that's talking a little bit more about finance. Not finance from a millionaire standpoint or finance from even a thousandaire standpoint, but I'm going to talk about finance from a survival standpoint, because I think that what we don't take into account is when we're young and we come from a background where nobody taught us how to manage our money. Could you imagine making over $100,000 a year and still living check to check? I've seen it. I remember making over $50,000 a year and living check to check. So you hopefully learn lessons from that. And as you learn those lessons, you grow and you go. And I want to speak on that. I want to speak on it from a mental health perspective as well. Because sometimes when you grow up in poverty, you literally limit yourself with your own thinking. Yeah, that one's deep. So we'll get to that one day too. Now, what am I doing for my birthday? Because I'm actually recording this a day before. So what I'm doing for my birthday is truly celebrating me. Now, that celebration, I honestly don't know what it looked like because I still battle with certain things that surrounded around my birthday. Whose birthday is surrounded with trauma? Mine. But it's okay because prayer, peace, and patience. Remember those things, prayer, peace, and patience. If you have those, everything can turn out okay. Life is not meant to be perfect. Every day you're going to face a struggle. You're going to face a challenge. Every week, every month. It's not the challenge that's the issue. It's the response. How are you going to respond to tragedy? You know it's coming. You may not know what kind, you may not know when, but you know it's coming. From the time you were a kid to now, you've been hit with things and you know it's coming. So it's up to you to decide how you're going to respond. I've decided to respond with prayer, patience, and peace. What else can I respond with? So I ask myself, see, have you asked Rory? I ask myself. I say self say, huh? How are we going to respond when the storm comes? How are we going to respond when the waves get rough? How are we going to respond when the people that we love don't respond the way we want them to? Prayer, peace, and patience. That's how we're going to respond. Because I have to remember nobody owes me anything. And I don't owe them. I accept you for who you are. And I hope that you do the same for me. So, again, like I said, this is my 20th episode. I'm so very happy to bring each and every last one of you on this journey with me. I'm just super excited. I'm excited because when I first started, I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I would maybe do 5 episodes and give it up, but I like that I'm helping people. I like that this is something that brings me joy. Oh, that's another thing. Find a hobby. Always find something that nobody can take from you. Because we're told we got to work, go to school, and get married or have a family or relationships. Problem is with school, we drop out or graduate, right? So no more school. Then with work, we retire, get fired, or quit. No more work. And with family, or friends or relationships, they dwindle off. So we lose all 3 of those things at some point in our life. So you got to have that fourth thing that nobody can take from you. And those are an abundance of hobbies that I want you to enjoy. So when you're feeling low, when you're feeling down, when things just aren't going well, you better tap into some of those hobbies. Tap into people that you know that care about you. Make phone calls. More importantly, see a therapist. I know a good one. www.mentalhealthdefenseandfitness.com. Yep, I did that. So I'm going to wrap this episode up, do my little editing piece. And I just want to say thank you for coming on this journey with me. I so appreciate everything that you guys have done for me. I appreciate the applause. I appreciate the accolades. I just appreciate everything. And I want to say happy birthday to me. And I will see you on the next Soulful Sessions with Rory. Later. Later very much.